Are we on now?
Yeah.
No, we're on. Okay. So look, 6 tries to 3. We are live and we're going to be here for an hour discussing absolutely everything about the game, including incidents, major moments, Nations Championship results. Obviously looking forward to South Africa, player performances, whole lot of questions answered. A much improved defence, a great start for the All Blacks. Powdered on in the last 10 minutes of the first half to take a 28-7 halftime lead. And the game was effectively won, I thought, at 57 minutes when that lead was converted into 35-14. Ireland came back, of course, scored another try. The All Blacks closed it out, scored another try. But I think that this morning, we got to be happy. And I hope that you are. Leave us a comment as always. I also hope that you enjoyed all the coverage and all the bits and pieces we put up on the channel last night, including some of the post-match quotes and interviews. And what we did last night was we did our little post-match chat after the press conferences so we could actually absorb what Andy Farrell, the Irish coach, had said and also what Dave Rennie had said. So we'll discuss all of that. Jamie, jump in. We're going to play another game, and this one is called One-Word Answers. So I've got a few questions for you.
Hey,
and you can
hello,
give me
everybody.
some one-word answers of them. Are you in shot here?
Yeah. No,
Gotcha.
Let's go.
Okay. And after this, and then we'll sort of just basically digress into some of the major talking points. But again, what I want from you people is just give me an overall impression as you're waking up this morning as an All Black fan. Give me a word, give me a sentence, give me something that says how you feel right now after that performance on the back of the other two performances. Was it a deserved scoreline for the All Blacks?
Yes, it was.
Were the selection questions from Thursday answered for you?
Yes, they were.
Is that our centre combo locked in Jordie, Barrett, Quinn, Tupaea?
Yes.
Was that a strong Irish side?
Oh, yes.
Was it an Irish side that needs revamping, though?
Yes.
Do you have a different player of the match than Damien McKenzie?
Yes, I do.
Did Jacobson deserve an upgrade to a red?
Probably, yes.
Did Tupaea deserve a yellow for the attempted intercept?
Absolutely not.
Did O'Brien deserve a yellow for taking Ruben Love out in the air?
Yes.
Andy Farrell says Ireland played well. Do you agree with him?
In a way, yes.
Do you have concerns still about the All Blacks?
Yes, I'm an All Blacks. We wouldn't be New Zealanders if we didn't.
Okay, they're one-word answers, but I accept that because I think that actually is how most of us feel. We'll go into those concerns in a little bit. Is Ruben Love, excuse me, starting at 10 first test versus South Africa, injury permitting, of course?
Yes.
Are we playing at a level good enough to beat South Africa?
Almost.
Was that a performance that could win in South Africa?
On the right day, yes.
All right, let's power into the incidents. Again, leave us a comment, any questions that you've got. I noticed that there's been one coming in from Jordan already who's questioning Jason Ryan and the scrum. We will compile these.
We'll get to that.
And we'll get to that. Incidents, let's go Jacobson to start with.
Yeah.
And now, this was put, the way that this question was put to Dave Rennie in the press conference last night was, it was called a brain explosion. I call it boneheaded. And I know that in the heat of the moment, obviously, things happen in a physical game where you're smashing into players and things. Dave Rennie kind of explained it away, and I thought it wasn't really that believable from the coach saying that. Look, there was a situation there, he had to clean him out, and he was almost kind of excusing it. But that kind of hit in a test match is an instant yellow card. It could be worse, and in South Africa, it's the kind of thing. Whether you're talking about 1% differences, that could actually cost us points and cost us a test match. When he was off the field, they did score. I thought it's inexcusable of a player with that experience who's coming back into the All Blacks. And so I'm not heaping on Jacobson. I'm talking about what he did. And I think that, that ill discipline, I thought we'd got rid of that out of our game.
You'd think so. Let's play good cop, bad cop
Sure.
on this one. Because it wouldn't be much of a discussion if we didn't. But I want to take you back to what Dave Rennie said in his first press conference and what he said afterwards. A recurring theme, and not optimism, because we'll talk about optimism soon, but I want to talk about brutality. You can't get more brutal than that. I'm not excusing it, but what he's brought Luke Jacobson in is to throw his frame around the field. He got it wrong on this. I think he was incredibly lucky. Having watched it back, we didn't really talk about this last night because it sort of came and went during the All Blacks press conference because we were talking about other things. it was a big topic during the Irish one, which unfortunately we sort of missed the first bit of. But at the same time, I think that it does tie in with what Rennie said about brutality and also what he said about giving away penalties, and that there's some of them he's okay with. I don't think he's okay with that because you're right. It was dumb, and it could have cost them game. It could have cost them a game in different circumstances. But at the same time, that's what he wants to see at the breakdown in terms of intent. Jacobson got it wrong.
But okay, when you say he got it wrong, I just think that's a little. To me, it's just a little bland. It's a little lame, in that he didn't get it wrong. In that he made a mistake. It's a conscious decision. He knows what he's doing, and so that to me is where the line gets crossed, and that the players have to be aware of the consequence of what they are doing, and that's a guy that knows exactly what the outcome of that is. So. I think it deserves that argument as well.
Yeah, it does. But
and Andy Farrell, let's go into the Irish press conference here, Jamie, because sometimes things happen after the match, people, and we have no control over this. And just to let you know what happened last night, it all went really quickly. At the end of the game, there's normally about a 15-minute period before you get downstairs, and you got to go through a rabbit warren to get to the press room and things. Right. The Irish guys were in there, and I'm not joking, television people were plugging lights in and plugging cables in, and the Irish media guy was actually, I thought he was a little obnoxious. He just started it and it went, and so I think a lot of people missed the first bit of that press conference, right? So if we didn't get it, a lot of people didn't get it. Yes. Andy Farrell was asked about this, and he was really diplomatic about it, but you could tell he wanted to say a lot more, and he said effectively, like an English football manager does, I can't talk about this.
Yeah, which is when he
says
says
everything.
Says everything really. I will. I'll stick up for Peter, the Irish media manager. He's a nice guy. It was clear that the coaching staff wanted to just get this.
Yeah, there was
done.
a titchiness going on there.
There was clearly an issue with them trying to get it out of the way while the New Zealand media were preoccupied with the All Black players, which is what we were doing, which is not unusual. It does. So just saying, like Peter, the Irish media manager, was sort of probably only acting under instruction there. This is clearly the biggest talking point, and what's turning into quite a controversial weekend of Test rugby. If you watch the England-Argentina game,
well, that was spiteful,
aka the World Series of sin bins.
Yeah.
But this is the big talking point out of this game, you'd have to say, and it contrasted quite sharply with the reaction to the other major bit of foul play in the game, which was Jimmy O'Brien taking out Ruben Love in the air.
Well, was that a yellow card?
Absolutely,
yeah,
it should have been.
I
do. To be fair, I do actually agree quite a bit with the way Dave Rennie answered it, which was, well, the upshot of it was we kicked a 50-22, we had the ball down, we got like a 50-metre advantage.
Yeah, but we lost our number 10. He went off injured after that.
Yeah, no, that's right. They did. So he did. So there should have really been a way for the referee to kind of do both in that situation. I'm pretty sure he could have. But at the same time, Dave Rennie's not really in a position to be arguing, to be too upset.
Well, I wonder with the way both coaches reacted to these and the questions, is that whether they've had something from world media and they're not allowed to actually criticise the referees or really criticise the decision that publicly.
Well, yeah, especially after what happened last week with Gonzalo Quesada in Wellington and his comments, and now that he's been suspended for 4 games. Rassie Erasmus was quite outspoken this week in terms of his views on the way that coach feedback happens now. So, yeah, a bit of stuff for World Rugby to deal with the coaches.
They're going to Infantino us, are they? I mean, the great thing about rugby is it's not so, it's not as sanitised as football is, and that, these guys can speak their mind. All right, just before we get into that other incident with Quinn Tupaea as well, my bad. I started by saying, my thoughts were happy and I'm satisfied, and these are the comments that I want. I want All Black fans, I want you to tell us exactly how you feel after that, given the progression from France to Italy to Ireland. You need to tell this as well. You need to look down the barrel of the camera and tell everyone what you think about that performance. Are you happy with that performance, and why are you happy if you're happy?
Yeah, I'm happy because A, they won. Secondly, they didn't really look like losing. They overcame a couple of pretty serious speed bumps along the way, and Jacobson was one of them. But I'm going to chuck in Tyrell Lomax getting injured early as well, which kind of disrupted the whole way that they were managing their bench. Just on that, that was a blood bin for Lomax. That was what it was officially went down.
Oh, he went off for holding his thigh.
Yeah, well, yeah. So
where was the blood?
Yeah, good question. I think that something needs to be probably
Further explained about that,
because of course that wasn't really talked about. But yeah, I talked to the Sky TV commentary team about this, and that was what they'd heard.
If you can send us a picture of any blood there, we would most appreciate.
Maybe he popped a zit. I don't know.
Okay, but you're happy though, right?
I'm happy. They did what they said they were going to do. We've seen an All Black coaching staff remarkably open about what they want to do and the way they want to play, and not just leaning on cliches like, oh, it's in our DNA or anything. Like Dave Rennie's been really upfront about like, no, we're going to run the ball, we're going to play the percentages, and that's exactly what they did. So if nothing else, they've been honest and upfront and have followed through on what they've said.
Look, and you've got to be happy, I think, also, people, with the handling, which was a hell of a lot better than it was in the first half against France. Against Italy, we took a long time to actually manage that game and get control of that game. And we didn't start off by conceding a try in the first couple of minutes. In fact, the All Blacks were on the front foot. If Jamie's staring at the screen in front of us here, he's just looking at the comments, and we're going to bring those in a sec. So we started off well, and as you say, controlled the game. We're up 14-0, and then the Ruben Love thing happened when we were on attack, and that could have been a moment where we might have shut that game out in the first 20 or 25 minutes. But by halftime, I thought at 28-7 that the game was pretty much done. That was just management from the All Blacks from that point on. And in the end, Ireland actually won that second half on the scoreboard, Jamie.
Yeah.
14-12. So fair play to an Irish side, which we all thought isn't like up there with the greatest Irish sides that we've played since 2016. But it's not a bad Irish side. Let's be honest about that.
No, there was, I said this last week, having talked to the Irish journalists and to some pundits overseas, and of course to Bernard Jackman last week, that it feels kind of like the window's closing a bit on this Irish generation of players, and that you've got your sort of core group of guys that are automatically getting picked, and then the rest of them are simply jersey fillers looking for another, solid pick that they've got. And every year those numbers get smaller and smaller. And like, don't get me wrong, like I'm still very, hopeful that they're going to continue to be a force in world rugby, because they have been, and they should be, and it's good having them there. But they're certainly not where they were when they came over and won that series in 22. But then in saying that, the All Blacks are clearly in a different place too.
Yeah, look, I think we are a better team. Before we get into breaking down some of the nuts and bolts of the All Blacks performance, and I'm also going to go back and reference some of the comments that Dave Rennie made after the press conference against Italy. And I think you'll find this interesting, people, because he repeated a couple of things almost word for word that he said after that press conference. He said this also after the Ireland one. Let's look at the Tupaea incident, though. And right throughout the Super Rugby season, this is one of those ones, Jamie, where all of us were adamant that the TMO can't get involved in this, that a guy going for an intercept and getting a yellow card always seems such a harsh punishment. Now, the Irish journos last night were adamant that that deserved a yellow card. I'm an All Black fan. I don't think it did. I thought when he dived for it, I'm not sure the ball was reaching the guy on the outside anyway. But in the strict letter of the law, is that a yellow card? Yeah, see,
who knows? I mean, I thought it was, and I thought that the referee had made the right call, because of course the way that it's been ruled lately is if you got two hands to it, then it's a knock on, and Tupaea did get two hands to it. The issue was on the replay that after his first touch, which clearly looked like he was pushing it backwards, it actually hit one of the Irish players. So therefore it's a knock on. So therefore it's an intentional knock on. I don't envy the referees in this situation. I don't blame them on this one, because it's one of those ones that when you go back and forensically examine it, it's going to tell you a different story to what was clear to the naked eye in the first place. So it's just annoying, because it, like, fundamentally it's just such a dumb rule. It's I hate it. Like it's so bad. And you saw, and if you watched the England versus Argentina game, it was responsible for like 3 players getting sent from the field, like getting sin binned. And for what? It's the same sanction as what Jacobson got for an act of foul play. Yeah. So explain that. Like, if nothing else, like that should be the reason why they need to really have a look at this and go, right, so a guy literally trying to touch the ball, which is what you're supposed to do in rugby, is of the same level of illegality as shouldering guy to the head.
Okay, let's put another perspective on this. Leroy Carter, and just as this is an aside, people, these are some of the strange things that happen when you go live to these games. Where we were sitting in our little box, because there was a media overflow, so we ended up in another little box. All of a sudden, I get a tap on the shoulder, and there's Sir Graham Henry behind us saying hello. And before you know it, there's the whole of the All Blacks reserve guys that haven't played just sitting down there. And so we were probably making a bit more noise. I mean, I don't know whether they wanted to leap and shout every time a try was scored as well. But it's kind of...
It was the first time I've ever watched an All Black game with the All Blacks.
Yeah, with the All Blacks. They were kind of right there.
Yeah, it was an interesting one. I mean, also, just as an aside, it speaks to just how many media were there. There was probably about a dozen Irish journalists who'd come over for this. Big turnout from the New Zealand media as well. And so they had to put us into another room. Obviously, we happy to move off into another room because, well, just so you know, we don't really do much during the game other than watch it. We're not sitting there tapping away on the laptop, so we're happy.
I do write a few notes, people. Okay, I mean, it's just
but it was a really cool experience, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It's just again, and Eden Park's a great place to watch because you can open the windows and you can get all the atmosphere in. Okay, so we are going to go through the other results and as I say, talk about this Argentina-England game, which was really spiteful this morning as well. When I said the selection questions from Thursday were they answered, and a couple of names I'm going to throw at you here, mate. Again, we'll get to your comments in just a second. Paddy T and the low ball carries, the physicality, the fact that he can go right up the guts and he can go on the fringes as well. And Dave Rennie spoke about this. I thought for a guy that hadn't played any rugby, I'm giving a big tick to that guy. I thought his performance for 50 minutes or so was outstanding for us. That's exactly why we want him in the team or off the bench, providing that in the last 20 or 30 minutes of a game if he's not starting, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I wasn't concerned about this pick. I'm a big fan of Paddy. Again, it's an ongoing theme of mine that I like having leadership and experience out there. No, I'm not making an excuse for old players to stick around. I just think that Paddy's body of work, when he's been fit, has been of All Black standard. Good call. And he showed it last night. A lot of chat about Sam Derry during the week, who was up in the box with us. Along with his mum, actually. And he's probably sitting there scratching his head. Okay, what more did you want me to do in those first two tests? But I do think it's a rotation thing. This wasn't him getting dropped. There's a lot of depth at lock right now. And the fact that Tupou Vaa'i, who is probably like the best lock we've got, was playing on the blind side, and we need to have a chat about him as well.
Next point, yes.
Yeah, is testament to just how much is going on. And then the fact that they've got Jamie Hanna as well, just waiting in the wings, and Fabian Holland and Scott Barrett.
Fabian Holland comes back this week. He plays this week, and so
if anyone's down in Dunedin, head along and give us an update.
Yeah, he plays North Otago. Let's talk about Tupou because again, that selection at 6, and fair play to Mex. Take it, hat off to Mex, who's been banging this drum for a while now. He's great mates with Dave Rennie, and I don't know whether they've had a conversation or not. We're not privy to that. But the thing I loved about Tupou was the work rate around the field. He popped up on the right. He popped up on the left. He was making them second guess, as you said last night, because were we going to cross kick to him? And he's got that height like Kieran Reid used to be able to do to take that ball. And remember, there was a try I think we scored against South Africa or Australia at Wellington, which was a cross kick to Reid, and then McCaw took it.
That's going back a bit.
It is. But, I think all of us remember that try. Yeah. I also loved, and Tom, who's our engineer and also he was helping us out with the camera, put it very, very eloquently, I thought. He was there to provide the niggle and the biff as well, and he was in their faces, and I called it a bit of Dane Coles last night, that just in a forward pack, you need somebody, Ethan de Groot did it against Italy, who's standing there confronting and not backing down and just getting under a bit of skin and saying a few things. It's a man's game. It's a physical game. You play rugby, there's always one yapper in the forward pack, isn't there?
Yeah, you need it. I feel like Tupou Vaa'i has been sort of somewhat unfairly tarnished as like a sort of big mouth or anything. He just likes to celebrate winning penalties, and that's not unusual. At the same time, we saw a slightly different role from him last night, and I did talk about it last night about how he spent the first sort of 15, 20 minutes hanging around out on the 5 metre line with his hand up calling for cross kicks, which never actually came.
Never came.
Right. And if you saw Paddy Tuipulotu's first try, if you look at the formation that the All Blacks had run, they'd been running these backdoor plays, that whole really good first 10 minutes that they did, and that's clearly what Ireland were looking out for. because if you look behind Josh Lord and Paddy, there was Ruben Love sitting there with, I think it was Jordie or Will Jordan outside him, and then Tupou Vaa'i out on the wing. And that's what Ireland were trying to defend. And if you see Patrick Tupou hit that short ball that Josh Lord gave, which was fantastic.
Yeah, it was.
Fantastic
Lovely.
bit of play. It was clear that they'd suckered them into keeping an eye out on what was happening out on the wing. And it was really, really smart play. And there's no better illustration of what this coaching staff was trying to create with this run game, which is that you're trying to get the defence to make a decision, like looking at something, and make a decision, and then cash in when they make the wrong decision. And I think that was probably, for me, from a coaching staff point of view, like on attack, the best moment of the game.
Okay, we call it the old Dunkirk fiddle, don't we? Where they basically, the English created this whole army somewhere else in England, which was actually rubber tanks and everything else, and trying to convince here
There was actually D-Day.
Oh yeah, connect dots here.
It's the Third Army Group under General Patton.
That was it. Yes, it was a false thing. Yeah.
So it was the invasion normally. It was actually going back the other way, not Dunkirk.
Okay. Yeah. So I just referenced the 2019 World Cup final, where I sat there on the sideline watching the English coaches, including John Mitchell actually, and Eddie Jones, watching de Klerk do all of these box kicks after box kicks after box kicks practice, and you saw England set their stall up 15 metres deeper in the first 50 minutes of the final, waiting for it, and they didn't do one for 60 minutes. So again, just a little bit of subterfuge. As far as we'll get on to your comments, I promise, in just a second. As far as the defence goes, now I want to reference Dave Rennie, okay? And again, I write a lot of things down afterwards, okay? So bear with me. After the Italy game, we're going to need to get better against Ireland than we were tonight. Box ticked.
Yes.
Okay. I'll give it a pass mark. That's what he said after Italy. Well, more than a pass mark last night.
Yeah. The further we get away from the Italy game, the more it feels like a let's get this one out of the way sort of test.
Yeah. Okay, we've got a lot more in the tank. He said that after Italy. He said that again last night, right?
Good.
Okay.
Because I didn't need it.
But he also said after the Italy game, without even anyone asking the question, he raised the defence and he went into bat for Tana and said, Tana and the defence are doing a lot of work this week. Okay. I go back to my notes from last night, Dave Rennie. We've got a lot more left in the tank and we're going to have to get better. The same quote. And I'm wondering whether he's just reinforcing these messages so we start repeating them ourselves, right? Yeah. And the other one was defence has improved. Tana's put a lot of work in. But he did say the defence since France has improved. So a long-winded way of getting to this point. In terms of our defence, which was really worrying against France because we conceded 4 tries and they almost crossed for a 5th. Correct. How much has it improved, and visibly where has it improved that you're looking at?
Well, most obviously in the midfield, because of course the season started with Jordie and Quinn getting gashed by Damien Penaud for a try that saw them down 7-0 after 90 seconds of the season starting. That
was repeated against Italy.
That was. That was in different circumstances.
Sure, but
I might add, but yes, that try did come through.
Missed tackle.
A missed tackle. Yeah. Well, the first one was a missed read. The second one was a missed tackle. So,
it's still poor defence.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Well, that didn't happen last night, did it? We were all sitting there locked in for the first couple of minutes or so, going, okay, well, if they can't get it right this time, then there's this fundamental problem with the way that the All Blacks are playing, the way that they're defending. That didn't happen last night. Quinn Tupaea was clearly given an assignment to shoot up out of the line and be as physical as he possibly could, in the same way that Jacobson, I guess, was given that license in the forwards to do that as well. And he did a really, really good job. For me, he was my man of the match.
I thought so as well. Yeah. I thought that the phrase I used was they let him off the leash last night. They said to him, obviously, you're the guy that is going to intimidate in defence. There was almost a Frank Bunceness to what he was doing last night, I thought, Quinn Tupaea. He was the guy that they were looking out for. You could tell by the second half, weren't they, that the Irish midfield were looking out for him. He was like a flying missile at times, and he probably gassed himself by the time he was taken off at 67 minutes. I also thought that was his best game that he'd played for us at centre, and also probably his best game. And look, we saw him against South Africa last year, but he was playing cameos. He played a bit on the wing. He played a bit, and he's always at a level, Quinn Tupaea. But last night, I just thought, there's something different about the way that he played last night.
Well, this shouldn't be any surprise. He was Super Rugby Pacific Player of the Year. He has been talked about as being the long-term solution at centre since late last year. there was an interesting situation with, Billy Proctor obviously having a fantastic season for the Hurricanes and getting himself back into the conversation as a starter.
For sure.
So, it's just a good battle because I feel like they're both playing quite well. Yes, Billy Proctor missed that tackle on Minicello to set up that first try. But other than that, I thought he had a pretty good game last weekend. So that's going to be quite a good tussle going forward. But at the moment, you'd have to think that Tupaea's got his nose ahead.
Yeah, so Tupaea, Paddy T, I thought all those guys played really well. Who am I to sit there and talk about the front row? But, others were saying how, they were impressed with Asafo when he came on. I thought, Dave Rennie singled him out. He was industrious. He gave us that power. He calls him busy. Yeah. And that's what he is, isn't he? Like this was, and we spoke to him up close and everything, and afterwards, and you could tell he was absolutely exhausted. But to me, he played like he did for the Hurricanes. There was just something about him. He's able to not change a game, but he certainly just makes a huge difference when he comes on, doesn't he?
Well, I owe Asafo Amoa a bit of an apology because I said the other day in our preview that we hadn't seen him in big tests. He actually did, like on the India tour, not last year, the year before, started those games against Ireland and England. So he actually has, and both wins as well, and played very well in both. So sorry about that, and thank you very much for the commenters who pointed that out. This is why we love your feedback. And I think last night was another reason as to why he's challenging that starting spot. We've heard a lot about Cody Taylor, who unfortunately injured last night. It's actually a really interesting one because Samisoni Taukei'aho is, I'd argue, in the best form of his career going through Super Rugby Pacific. And now he finds his way blocked to that top spot by a guy who's also feels like he's in career best form because Amoa, once he's ironed out the set piece stuff, he's just absolutely devastating with ball in hand. And you saw it when he came on. He felt like he was a man on the mission as well. And do you remember with the All Black non-playing reserves in front of us, they were hyped when he came on the field. They were hyped when he got the ball for the first time. Yeah. And it was clear that he's a guy that they expect things out of once he touches the ball.
Yeah, and look, and I think this is a really good thing for the All Blacks because you saw Cody Taylor almost play like Asafo in the first half last night. He was doing a lot of charging. He was just barreling into the Irish. Samasoni's waiting there. We got three guys and we need them all to be at that level, Jamie, in South Africa. So I'm really happy. I'm really pleased about that. Yeah. In terms of the defence close to our line, now we did say again, if you've just joined us, look, it's not celebratory mood, but it's certainly a happy All Black fan base, I think, today. Look, as All Black fans, are we ever happy? Yeah, we should be, because we've just won 40-21 against Ireland, scored 6 tries to 3. We've ticked 3 wins in a row. And you reverse these games, Jamie. If we had played this game last night against France and then played the French game this time, we'd feel like we're going on a bit of a downward trajectory, but we're not. We're obviously clearly getting better, aren't we?
That's why I'm so, and to use Dave Rennie's words, optimistic about it, because they've gotten better in every game.
No question. But so the Irish scored tries last night against us, and I think everyone watching, and especially with the vantage point we get at Eden Park as well, where I keep saying you're up high, you're in the middle, so you get to see that whole field. All 3 tries were quite similar in that they were pounding against us. The first one, you remarked straight away, that was only 4 phases when they scored. That's right. Then they scored a very similar try. The third one went out to the wing, but again, it was the same pattern. It was just that Irish pattern. You saw it against Australia in the last 10 minutes, just bashing away at you, eventually getting a guy in the bin, or they're going to break you. I think all of us who were watching last night were looking at it going, that's how South Africa are going to attack us. They're going to come in waves at our line. Are we good enough to hold them out? And against the Irish, we were it for long periods. But is it a concern or a worry that we conceded 3 tries which were quite similarly based?
Yeah, it is. It is, because it sort of shows a bit of a chink in the armour there. On the flip side of that, it shows what needs to be fixed. And you've got to remember that first try was with a man in the bin. As well, and they were given a free,
but it didn't go out wide. It came through the middle of us, mate.
They were given a free ride into the 22 on that one. I thought the first try said sort of more about Ireland than it did about the All Blacks defence, because it was really good.
Yeah,
right. Like the ruck speed was just lightning fast, and Gibson Park, who, by the way, apart from those couple of tries, I think was really effectively shut down.
What a player.
And a great player, but the All Black defensive pattern was clearly designed to take his influence out of
Yeah,
the
to
game.
stop him sniping. He was
Yeah,
going left to right, right to left, left to right.
And
right
also,
to left.
there's that really interesting stat you brought up last night, the kicking stat, where the All Blacks kicked slightly more.
22 to 13.
20, yeah, so the Irish only kicked 13 times.
It's crazy,
and
isn't it?
usually you would think Gibson Park was putting boot to the ball a lot more than that. I think Sam Prendergast was pretty much like kind of a non-factor in the game, and it just showed how reliant they are on Gibson Park being given that platform to do what he does.
Look, we've seen him destroy us in test matches by just box kicking the hell out of it in the first. Remember, I think it was either last year, it might have been the year before against Ireland, where in the first 5 minutes we just saw the ball go up in the air constant. It was just that's all that they were doing. One of the crazy things about last night was in the first couple of minutes, we didn't concede a try, but there were 2 scrums.
Yeah.
There were 2 scrums. And then Asafo comes in afterwards to the presser and he was asked a question about how did it feel on the scrums. He said, I didn't have one.
Yeah.
I didn't actually have. So he came on.
Every scrum he was in and got blown up.
Yeah, so I think, he said that, but he came on early and he actually didn't have it. Okay, read some comments and I'll just go through some of the other results for you as far as the Six Nations while Jamie gets a couple of comments. Do you need a
Okay, well, I think one thing, I'm going to lump a few together
because
there's a couple of names that are coming up in this comments, and one's, and it's where are they going to fit in? One's Timothy Tavatavanawai, and the other one's Lester Whainganuku. So where do you see Lester? Because a lot of people have mentioned his name. Where does he fit back into this team?
Okay, so if I'm asked, and we're going to discuss this week, because Monday week, people, is when the squad to South Africa is named. We'll be there live, not tomorrow, but the following week, 44 names. So if we're assuming the 34 are all injury-free and able to be named, and I can't imagine any of the 34 being dropped. That would be crazy, especially the 3 guys that haven't played. Okay, so when you're looking at the other 10 names, and we could go through them now. Holland's going to be in there, right?
Yeah.
There's probably going to be another hooker at it.
Yep.
I would say that if Tamaiti is fit, he comes back in.
Yeah, we haven't heard any update about him,
Okay.
but it would be a surprise. But you're right. Like if he is somehow, then yes.
Okay, I wouldn't be surprised at all to add another halfback to it, to the 10. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Rico, who was there, sitting there last night amongst the All Blacks reserves, even though he wasn't in the All Blacks, he was only added to the training, he was there last night as well. He will be in. So when it comes to adding these extra 10 players, I think most of us are probably going to be able to select and pick and name those players, right?
Yeah.
I don't think there's going to be any major surprises. The only one that will be a major surprise not being included is Mo'unga at this stage. Okay. But look, when it comes to Timothy Tavatavanawai and Lester is one of those names that's added as well. So I've just named about 6 names already out of the 10, I think. And I think, Jimmy, the difference is going to be in there as well.
Yeah.
Because I think that he has to be on a Super Rugby form, and also when you're looking at those URC sides. And I see both of these guys adding something which is quite invaluable, their ability to turn the ball over. Plus Lester also, don't forget, I'm looking at these guys at their peak, and Lester, to me, is a player, and I watched him on the wing at the World Cup in 2023. He's been playing in the forward pack for the Crusaders. He can play on the wing. Dave Rennie told us earlier in the season he doesn't see him as a centre, he sees him as a winger. But here's a guy that could change our bench to a 6-2 split. That's how essential he is potentially to me in the test matches. Yep. And we haven't seen him because he's been injured. But I think it's a really good point you raise. And one of the fascinating things to me, and you're going to be over there right from the start, is how these midweek sides, the URC opposition sides, how we play against them, what combinations we use against them. Because one thing that we know, people, is there's going to be an attrition rate. We've seen this right throughout these first 3 tests of this.
Well, we've seen it right throughout the history of All Blacks touring South Africa.
Yeah, and so we're going to look at a team and go, okay, there's our team. Well, by the time the first test rolls around, that isn't our team.
Yeah.
And so these guys are going to need the game time, but also I think that they can actually make a difference. I'm not sure that I would pick Tavatavanawai right now in that All Blacks midfield, because I think the combination between Jordie and Tupaea, from what I saw last night, gives me enough confidence that they're our number 1 centre pairing. But I can see both Lester and Tavatavanawai being involved. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I don't think Jordie's going anywhere. Just another one here. Looks like it's coming in from South Africa. Bokdesu 3280. Hey boys, are we likely to see a back 3 combo? Jordan, Clark, Fehi, Morby, or do you prefer D-Mac at 15?
Great question. And another thing last night that I wanted to add was how much of a wrecking ball was Caleb when he came on.
Oh, yeah.
And that almost, to me, I'm wondering whether or not, look, it's hard to put a specialist winger on the bench and think that's all he can do. But man, I'm wondering whether there's a position for him somewhere in that midfield too, if possible, even trying him out there, because of just, he was able to make metres, Jamie, wasn't he? He made 10, 20 metres a couple of times, Caleb, almost impossible to bring down.
Yeah. And that's exactly what we talked about his role being last week. A couple of good line breaks in there. So, yeah, really pleasing display about a guy who we never really pegged as being a bench player, coming off the bench and doing exactly what he needed to do. It's probably the best. I mean, Amoa obviously, but he was coming on as an injury replacement. But in terms of a guy being sent on to do a job, Caleb did the best one.
In terms of that back three, Will Jordan is cement. There's no question about that. Josh Moorby has done enough, and I think, was it Damian McKenzie said it last night, or Will Jordan, or maybe a combination of both of them said last night. Damian McKenzie made some interesting comments about Ruben Love, actually. I want to address those. But Will Jordan, he was asked about Josh Moorby. And he said, look, he's just absolutely slotted in like he's been here forever. He said he's playing with such a cool head. The thing I like about Moorby is that he's a really perceptive rugby player. He's like one of those guys with a football at his feet that's constantly looking at the green grass and where his teammate can get that ball. And that's what Moorby does, doesn't he? Yep. He's the most unselfish player for a guy that could probably score a lot more tries every year if he actually decided to get a bit more selfish. But he's constantly looking for his guy inside or outside and where to put that player. I think that I would quite happily see him at fullback in one of the matches against the URC sides. But I think Damian McKenzie also played last night one of his better games at fullback. And you could see the confidence in him when he came in and stood in front of the media rat pack and addressed that as well. Because everyone's always asking about the first five thing, and he was fulsome in his praise of Ruben Love, and he said he really enjoyed playing at 15. So in answer to your question, I think, again, the All Blacks are building a situation here where we've probably got 4 or 5 interchangeable players there. And don't forget, Will Jordan can come back and play 15 as well. But I think you're going to see Fehi, and you're going to see Moorby, and you're going to see a lot of them in those first couple of games against the URC sides.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's go through some of the other results. Okay.
Yeah.
Overnight, All Blacks 40, Ireland.
And we'd love to hear, if anyone watched the England-Argentina game this morning, we'd love to know what you thought about it. Yeah. Because, I mean, you had to settle in because it went for about 3 hours. So,
and not only that, the Argies turn up wearing the Hand of God Maradona jerseys from 1986. I tell you what, if they didn't come in with the General Belgrano on their shirts, this is as inflammatory as it could possibly get.
I think they were trying to basically one-up the football team who came out with their banner after beating England. I mean, it's like I can't believe all of this happened in a week. It's like so cosmically perfect that England played Argentina in like 2 games of sport and both referenced both the 1986 World Cup and the Falklands War.
And the Falklands War. And that's, you've got to remember, that was 82 and the World Cup was 86. So we're talking generations ago. Yep. Okay, All Blacks 40, Ireland 21, 6 tries to 3. England 31, Argentina 24, in a match that could have had 19 yellow cards. South Africa 43, Wales 0, blitzed them, 7 tries. What do we learn about that? Apart from the South Africans are brilliant, we know that anyway.
Absolutely nothing.
Scotland 33, Fiji 17, 5 tries to Scotland, but a bit scratchy. France 42, Japan 15, took care of business. And the Aussies will be happy because they put 57 on Italy, 57-10. The Italians had the worst travel arrangements just about of everyone. Or no, actually Scotland I think probably had the worst. The way it looks in the points table, get this, after 3 rounds, Northern Hemisphere 9, Southern Hemisphere 9. So every round has been split 3-all. Northern Hemisphere, France, England, Scotland, Ireland are all 2-1. Southern Hemisphere, we're the only 2 teams that have got perfect records as us and South Africa. We're both 3-0 with bonus points. Their points differential plus 81, ours is plus 51. So this is going to count in the end. We could both end up being 6-0 or 5-1 or whatever it is, and it's going to count as to who plays who. Italy and Fiji, the only teams that are 0-3. So absorb all of that. What does it mean to you? The thing that glares to me out of all of that is the thing we haven't discussed yet, and I was at you last night about this because you were a little more cynical about it than me, but it really occurred to me, Jamie, when I got to the park last night and I saw the fortress signs painted everywhere, and the first thing I said, and I said this before the pre-match, right, if we lose tonight, the painters have to come in on Monday and paint over that because otherwise there's going to be people down there taking photos of it going, it ain't no fortress anymore, and it's going to become a social media thing, right?
Yeah.
So we defended this record last night, and I know that you say, look, it's a bit of a manufactured or contrived record, but it's happened without the players or the All Blacks wanting it to happen. It's just happened. And these records happen in sport. And now that it's 32 years and 53 games, it's something that's worth celebrating, isn't it?
Okay, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that we shouldn't talk about it. I'm just saying that it just seems, I don't know. I don't want to rag on it because like clearly right now the All Blacks are embracing it. It's gotten too big now that they can't not talk about it.
Well, every other team wants it, Jamie. Every team that come here is going to want to be that team that takes it, aren't they?
Yeah, but I mean, every team that comes to New Zealand wants to win in New Zealand, like regardless.
Sure,
like
but this adds a little extra.
It does, and I'm not gonna. I wasn't trying to say that we shouldn't do it or I don't like it because I like going to Eden Park. It's a nice venue.
Oh, it's a brilliant venue.
It was great last night and everything, and obviously it means something to the All Blacks. It's just that when I first started, they were really like, it doesn't matter, I don't care about it. Like it's just another game sort of thing. And it's only in the last sort of couple of years that they've actually come out and pretty much acknowledged it.
Okay.
And so that to me is why it's like, it feels there has been a bit of marketing gone around and been like, this is how we're going to hype this up.
And look, and why not? You tell me bring up, and if you can, leave us a comment on this. Is there another sports team, an international sports team, that in whatever sport you like has got that same record? Have the Poms defended Wembley? They defended that up until about 1953 or something. Is there a football team on the planet? Is there a rugby league team on the planet? Is there an NFL team on the planet? Is there any team on the planet playing leagues?
Well, I'll just put it, if we're going to talk about streaks at stadiums, that like in terms of years anyway, that it's nowhere near the All Blacks' longest streak at a stadium. Do you know where it is?
I would say Dunedin.
No.
Oh, not Hamilton?
No.
Rotorua.
Murrayfield.
Oh,
They've never lost here.
Do it.
So in terms of years, they're unbeaten there because there was a couple of draws.
Yeah, but we don't play every year there, do we?
Still, I mean, if you're going to talk about streaks,
okay,
like that at Eden Park isn't even the longest. In terms of years.
Okay, I thought that's a trick question. I'll add Cardiff.
I'll add Cardiff.
No,
but we lost at Cardiff. Don't you remember?
Oh, God, we lost in 99 there, didn't we?
And in 2007.
No, we lost at Twickenham in 99.
Yeah.
Cardiff in 2007. Okay, so we've got a few more minutes here.
Yeah.
Have a look at some more comments, and I'll just go through some more thoughts from last night. Again, as an All Black fan, this whole week we're going to be looking back at the Nations Championship, and we're going to get overseas perspective. We're going to go to England, we're going to go to RG, we're going to go to South Africa, we'll go to Australia. Murray Mexted is going to be on the show this week as well. Mex has deliberately sort of kept his powder dry till the 3 tests were played.
Well, he's definitely going to be coming in with I told you so about the hype.
I don't think so. He's not that kind of guy.
Well, he's doing the right.
But he is right about, whether we need extra height against South Africa. But I think the great thing with Tupou last night is he just provides us with an extra option. We're getting Fabian Holland back as a lock. We don't have Scott Barrett for South Africa, but you said that we've got good depths in the lock, in the locking. And I just think it can provide a second guess for the South Africans as well. You've got to remember when he comes in at number 6, and we saw this guy last night sitting there with the All Blacks reserves, or the guys that weren't playing, the non-playing players, was a guy called Wallace Satiti, who has been absolutely brilliant at times for the All Blacks, was really good in South Africa playing number 6. World Breakthrough Player of the Year, just like Fabian was, right? So there's another guy. Peter Lakai, I don't think we've seen probably the really, really best of Peter Lakai so far in these 3 tests, but that doesn't mean we did last year. He played really well for the All Blacks. Yeah. So what I'm saying again is we're building up a loose forward mix there where we can interchange a few players, which is going to be essential because, again, there's going to be an attrition rate in South Africa. And our best laid plans are not going to be put in place every single test match we play there.
I think Tupou Vaa'i playing on the blindside was specific selection.
Look at this.
For the Irish.
Hey, don't tell me, people. The crowd loved it last night, by the way, Jamie, didn't they?
Just had a comment coming in saying they're too distracted by the game on the background. Well, sorry, we thought this would look cool. But anyway, that's the easiest try. Will Jordan leave school?
And I'll tell you what, that was an absolutely pivotal moment in the match too, people, because at that stage, they had come back into it. We were down to 10, and then they botch it. One mistake like that, bang, it put us again that 14-point buffer.
Yeah, I think if you're Irish and you're looking back on this game, I don't think the Jacobson moment is the one you should be most aggrieved about. It's that one, to be fair.
Because all you had to do was keep possession there, right?
Yeah.
And we were down to 14. We weren't going to attack. We didn't have the ball. You could have marched back down the field.
But back on the loose forwards and loose fullbacks. So I think Vaa'i last night was definitely a selection based on what was put in front of them. which is interesting from the All Blacks. Normally you wouldn't think that the All Blacks would select based on who they were playing, but I think that's what happened. I feel like he's going to move back to lock at some point, and they're going to integrate Wallace Satiti back in and Parker at some point as well, especially in South Africa, because that's why they need those big bodies to be running the ball. Whether Parker can force his way into the test side, because he's definitely going to be playing in the midweek team. So yeah, you're right. I think said it on Friday about Satiti being essentially dropped. Well, he was dropped because
he was dropped because
Dave Rennie said, and that Dave Rennie came out and said so on it. Just shows how tight the margins are in that loose forward group right now. Really, Ardie Savea is the only one who's definitely starting in the next test, and it's not because anyone's playing badly; it's because everyone's playing well.
All right, let's leave it at this. We've been going for about 45 minutes now, so we're just a couple of minutes to wrap it up. And what I want to do is I just want to go through some of the comments from the two coaches last night, because I write these things down. I'm really interested in looking at the way that they say what they're saying as well, trying to read their body language and things. Straight away, Andy Farrell said, whatever question was asked, how do you feel about that, or your assessment of the game? The first word he said, frustrated. Yeah. He said frustrated. He said, we were good at the set piece. We were in good positions, bad handling errors, discipline. He liked what he said, that punching the ball forward, they scored 3 tries like that, okay? He said he liked their kicking generally, moments that cost, and there was that crucial period before half-time as well. Yep. You look at what Dave Rennie says. Set piece really strong, the scrum was excellent. Yep. So for those who are saying that they didn't think the scrum was excellent, the coach argues with you and he thought that our scrum was excellent. Yep. Really pleased with that performance, he said. Yep. We hadn't heard those words from him up until then, right? Yep. Because obviously against France and Italy, we were scratchy. Balance of the game was better. I like the fact we could go multi-phase. So, again, when the coach is speaking, this is what's great about Dave Rennie. He when we weren't playing well against France and Italy, he came out and he said that we must get better. But last night he gave credit to his players because we did play better.
Yeah.
So that's why I think you've got to be happy or satisfied.
Telling the truth, eh? I mean, who would have thought?
Well, it's just that coaches don't. They just work in the subterfuge department, don't they, with mixed messages a lot of the time. So
can I just make one thing, because I've just seen a comment come up about this, and this has been a talking point, not like the biggest talking point, asking why Ardie's not playing at open side, and why, but. Could you have not got a better illustration of how good he is at number 8 than last night? He literally picked the ball up off the back of the scrum and carried 3 guys over the line to score a try.
And remember, he didn't take the ball off the back of the scrum once against Italy.
Yeah.
So he's obviously heard what Marshy had said.
Yeah, but that's been a big point, and the coaches have said it doesn't matter what number he's wearing, but that's what a good number 8 does. Take the ball off the back of the scrum, and yeah, he took 3 defenders over the line. So I don't know. I could see him. I don't mind if he goes back to 7, but he's clearly pretty proficient at number 8.
All right. I gave it about a 6.5 against France. I gave it between a 6.5 and a 7 against Italy. I'm going look, I always hate being too generous with the All Blacks. I don't know why that is. But I think between 7 and 7.5, or might squeeze a 7.5 because of the 6 tries, the scoreline. Happy with that performance against Ireland, and the trajectory to me is going in the right direction as we head towards South Africa. I don't think that performance against Ireland, what we've seen in the 3 tests, is enough to put our hammer down and say, wow, we're playing so well, we're going to go and take the South Africans. But I think on the back of that, building up through the matches against the URC sides, we are making really good progress, and I think we are going to be ready by the first test. So I'm pretty satisfied after what I've seen now.
Yeah, hard agree. I mean, can't really argue with any of that. I'm giving it about an 8 out of 10, that performance. I was just really impressed with the good stuff that I saw last night. The Jacobson thing aside, you're right. Like, they conceded similar tries to one another. But for me, the bigger concern is why they ended up in that position in the first place. Because if you remember last week against Italy, they barely spent any time defending on the goal line at all, or in the 22 at all. So for me, it's more of like what happened to let the opposition get that close to the line in the first place. But yeah, really happy with that. Optimism. You can close it out.
Thank you so much, people, and thank you so much for all the comments. And we will address these during the week. We'll have another mailbag. as I said, the round table on Tuesday. Lima Sopawanga is coming into the studio to join us on Wednesday. We have got a big full week of post-match and then looking forward to the 44 being named Monday week. So do join us on the DSPN. Click the subscribe button on YouTube, always helps. And the other bit, and I got to do this, Changing Sheds. Every Friday, you get a editorial episode, which is just us talking about stuff we don't talk about during the week, and we give you a few more insights that we've learned, as well as that a newsletter. We thank you so much for supporting us this way. It's a couple of bucks a week. If you can jump on and support us with Changing Sheds, it's a hugely expensive exercise. Getting to South Africa and following our team through those matches and the tests. Jamie's going there on the ground for the whole tour. We can get you closer than anyone else, pretty much. We're right there, as I say, there are the players right there, the coaching staff. We're right there at the press conferences and providing coverage for you. So thank you very much to all of our sponsors, and thank you very much to all of our subscribers. And if you want to help us out, click that subscribe button or jump on Changing Sheds, text DSPN to 3598. It's a beautiful sunny afternoon here in Auckland, and the All Blacks have beaten Ireland 40-21. How good? Yeah. How good? Let's leave it there. How good?